Hello，大家好，欢迎回到外媒看中国，我是安博然。The Western media is flooded at the moment with reports of the Hong Kong trial of a man called Jimmy Lai, who they describe as a brave pro-democracy crusader who's being unfairly treated in a kangaroo court. Thanks to those biased and misleading reports, most ordinary Westerners have no idea what Mr Lai is actually being charged with and what sort of a person he really is. Spoiler alert, he's no angel. Today we have a special guest, Nury Vittachi, who's going to fill us in on the facts of the matter, free from Western media whitewashing. This is Reports on China. I'm Andy Boreham in Shanghai. Let's get reporting. A former Hong Kong publisher named Jimmy Lai, aged 76, is on trial on charges of sedition and collusion. The Western media is in an uproar, describing Lai as a brave champion of free speech and democracy, being unfairly treated in a kangaroo court. So is that the real story? Well, today we have a special guest, Nury Vittachi, known for the Friday Everyday media channel. He's lived in Hong Kong for nearly 4 decades and has covered the ups and downs of Jimmy Lai since the 1980s. Nury, it's so good to have you on the show. Now, I've seen commentators and even politicians trying to basically delegitimize this entire trial, attacking its very foundation by referring to it as a kangaroo court. Is that a fair description?
Absolutely not. It's a very serious trial. And it's interesting, especially when American people say this, because, of course, in the international global legal indexes, Hong Kong's much higher than the US legal system. So if this is a sham legal system, so is the US one. But, you know, it's great to actually visit the Hong Kong courts because they're so grand, they're so Western. People wear long robes, it's like being in a Harry Potter movie. And some of the buildings are really ancient, and they wear those funny white wigs with the little curlers on the side. And the British Hong Kong laws are very Western. They're very British. Let me give you an example. I copied one out just to give you the tone of the Hong Kong legal system. It is an offence to utter cries for the purpose of buying or selling any article whatsoever. Okay, that's a typical Hong Kong law, right? It's so British. And the other really important thing is that the Hong Kong legal system fines against the government continuously. There's always fighting between the judiciary and the government. And, the government says, look, these are the facts. And the Hong Kong judiciary says, no, they're not. And rules against them all the time. Right? So that is the sign of a functioning legal system. And, those are the facts. And, of course, they won't be printed in the Western media because it doesn't fit the narrative, does it? So it's not a sham trial at all.
Well, it sounds like you're saying, Nury, that the generally circulated version of this story is less than accurate.
Yeah, less than accurate. It would be putting it mildly. It's not a sham trial. It's going on for 83 days over 4 or 5 months. So it's pretty serious. And also, you know what? He's not the noble pro-democracy activist that he's painted at. The real story is very, very different.
Yeah, well, I wondered if you could share with us some of the real story. Maybe you could share the 3 main differences between what we're seeing in Western media and what's happening on the ground there in Hong Kong.
Yes, sure. Well, one of the main things is that he's always described as a pro-democracy campaigner. The fact is, Hong Kong would probably have had universal suffrage from 2017 without Jimmy Lai and his group, because the Hong Kong government spent 10 years setting up legislation for universal suffrage. Everybody would get 2 votes, one for the leader, one for the local representative. They spent 10 years building up that legislation. And Jimmy Lai and his group campaigned against it on the basis that it precluded people from pro-independence campaigners. Now, none of the political parties in Hong Kong at that time were pro-independence campaigners. In fact, all the leaders of all the parties said they were not pro-independence campaigners. So they would not have been excluded. So Jimmy Lai still campaigned against it. All that legislation was thrown out, and Hong Kong didn't get the universal suffrage in 2017 that the government tried to introduce. So it's not pro-democracy. Second, he's presented as noble, but in the trial, all this money is shown to be flying in and out. Money came in from the US, from Taiwan, from the UK, from Hong Kong, and this money is listed in the accounts as being returns from securities investments. Well, he must have been a very good investor, but tons of money came in and tons of money went out. It went out to all sorts of people. It went out to the former US defense chief. It went out to all sorts of activists. It went out to Hong Kong Watch in the UK. So this money just going out, it just makes you feel, okay, there's something very, very wrong here. Money coming in, money going out, and all very undercover. And in many cases, these were the same people that the NED, which is CIA's regime change unit for overseas operations, the NED were sending money to the same people. So yeah, the money side, he's not this noble character at all. And the third thing is that he's presented as standing for the Hong Kong people. Absolutely not. What the trial has shown is he's tried to destroy Hong Kong's main industries. Hong Kong's biggest industry is the finance industry. And then after that, we've got tourism. And he took aim at those two industries. He kept saying on TV, Hong Kong as a financial center, how could it continue as a financial center? He campaigned against this. He also deliberately attacked the Hong Kong economy. So he's working against Hong Kong. And Hong Kong people can see this. We're pretty smart here, and especially on economic matters. So so Jimmy Lai's attack on Hong Kong economy and Hong Kong's two main sources of income, right? The financial services and tourism. I mean, that was terrible, and Hong Kong people have been very shocked about this legitimately.
Yeah, well, my last question today, I wondered how the Hong Kong people are responding to this trial.
Yeah, no, that's also quite interesting because, from the Western media, you'd think that they're outraged. But if you actually see the charts of what news articles that people are clicking on, the Jimmy Lai trial isn't there. They're clicking on the normal news. They're not that interested. I think Hong Kong people have seen that this whole pro-democracy, in quotations, movement is very harmful to the Hong Kong economy, very harmful to the individual rights of individual people, very misleading, very pro-Western, very anti-China. And so they're just fed up of it. They're not clicking on it. If you go to Hong Kong's most popular media, which is a website called HK01, it's hardly there at all. So the funny thing is that it's the Western journalists on Twitter who are making a big deal of it. For Hong Kong, it's sort of like, okay, look, we've had enough of this sort of interference, political interference from the West. And Jimmy Lai sums up that political interference from the West. Hong Kong, we just want to get on with life. Statistically, Hong Kong is one of the wealthiest places in Asia. Has more billionaires than any city on the planet, literally. It's also statistically the healthiest city in the world. So Hong Kong has a lot of good things going for it, and that's what Hong Kong people want to focus on.
Wow, very interesting. Nury Vittachi from Friday Everyday, thank you so much for your insight today. And that will be it for today, you guys. But as always, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so do let me know down below. And also, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help the channel. I'll see you all next time. Bye-bye.